Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob from Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I have an interesting review impressions of the Dan Carraher, not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, sorry Dan, if you ever watch this, I'm sure he wouldn't because he's way too big to even watch a little channel like mine, but his DTF, down to flip, I believe is what it stands for, or down to, I guess, flip, or what's the other term that people usually use? You flip, you flick, whatever, flip or flick your knife, reverse flick. Yeah, down to flip. DTF, I like that. Cool, because it's very simple, very compact. It is a small knife, but there's so many good things about this, and it's so easy and convenient and comfortable to use, even for a guy with medium large hands. They're large with widthwise but medium lengthwise. This is really a nice little knife. Now if you've got gargantuan hands, you might not like this. Maybe this is a great fifth pocket knife for you, maybe not. But if you don't mind, I would say more gentleman's type size knife, this is going to be a great knife. And I'll just give you a hint, I love this knife. This is really, really cool. Definitely a neat knife to check out. And I'll make sure I'll post the links to his knife, because I believe they were in pre-order, and he has some still in stock to order as of this video, or at least when I recorded this, they were still available. You might want to go check them out. Really, really great knife. The quality is fantastic. This is made by Bestech. You can see it's contour titanium, milled out really, really nicely. But let's kind of dig into this, all right? So first of all, it is manufactured for Dan by Bestech, and I had another one of his knives, the 904 Integral. He tends to do a quality check, inspection, tuning of all his knives so that they come out immaculate. And this felt like it was no different. This knife is beautifully contoured. It has a deep pocket carry clip, as you can see, very deep. It's going to go to about right here, so that's relatively deep, very all the way up to the top. Now, the cool thing is, the reason why it has a little, there's not as deep as it could be, is because the screw is hidden. The screw is inside. So you really only have no screws on this side, and you only have two screws on this side. You have the pivot, which is a captive pivot, and you have the handle screw right here. That's with the backspacer. And so there's a backspacer in here as well. So titanium backspacer, titanium contoured handles. Beautiful finish on these guys right here. I love that design right here. It's a beautiful little, and if you can see this, a beautiful little clip that has a nice little arch to go over clothing, and doesn't hang. Has definitely a nice amount of clearance, so you can get there and get in and get out. The only thing is, it does sometimes catch on this, but this is not terribly sharp like some of these things. This has been chamfered down a little bit. So typically I have a couple of knives where they have this sort of milling, and it's super sharp, super sharp, but this is not cutting. But you typically only right here, and it's only if you, I guess, if you pull into your pants, or if you pull down, I guess, this way, so it rubs in that way. But if you pull straight up, I haven't really caught a whole lot on this. This is nothing like my Chris Reeve Umnumzon. Boy, that knife tore up 3-4 pairs of my jeans. I eventually did the glass bead blasted finish on it that they offered, and it was definitely worth it. Wonderful. But I never carried it, so I eventually sold it. And as you guys know, if you've watched any of my other videos, I only keep knives that I carry, and I do not like to collect knives that just go into my case and never get used. I like to use every one of my knives. If it's not a knife that I'm worth using or carrying, then it's not a knife worth keeping in my collection. That's just where I'm at in my knife career and my knife journey. Maybe you're somewhere else, but this knife is no different. I enjoy carrying this. The centering is spot on, dead centered. It has three really wonderful ways to deploy it. You have a flipper right here. Now you can do that, like right here. Now, one thing about this is, if you put your finger really hard, you are going to lock into detent. So as long as you have a fairly decent, fairly decent grip here or up here or something like that, you're not going to have any issues with the flipping. And when I carry this regularly, it's very second nature in how to flip it. I don't really have an issue with it. And if I'm ever handling it like that, there's always the front flipping, which works fantastic. This front flipper is along the lines and crazy fun easiness of like a Enrique Pena. I love that. I have a trapper, and I love that knife. It's one of my favorites also as well. It's a nice small gentleman pocket kind of knife. I love that. Very nice looking. But that front flipper works just wonderfully, right? And then it has this wonderful fuller right in here That's all the way down, all the way up here with the swedge on top. That this fuller goes all the way across. Beautiful flat grind. This is like a belt satin grind. As you can see, I do use my knife. You can already see some scuff marks and everything, so I don't apologize for that. I like to use my knives. So this fuller, easy to get your finger in there, easy to reverse flick, and as well for the left hand, very easy, just like it is over here. Can easily, easily flip that as well, and easily reverse, or easily just use the flipper as well. So it's very left-right handed friendly. I know if you got big hands, this might be a challenge over here. And if you got really big hands and you don't want to mess with a smaller knife, then maybe this is not for you. But man, at first I was hesitant on it, and the more I carried it and the more I used it, the more I was happy that I got it, because it's a lot of fun. And of course, I've misfired on the flipper twice, which I haven't done in a while because I'm recording a video. So that is the perfect time to do it, of course, right? But this is also a frame lock, as you can see. It does have the steel insert, which is really nice. So it's the steel insert. It locks up about good, 30%. So no blade play or blade rock. Really, really nice. The drop shut is beautiful. It's caged ceramic ball bearings. So really, really nice as well. And this is, Bestech did a great job for him. And of course, he tuned this wonderfully, and it's wonderfully centered, and everything's just fantastic about this knife. I love that. So let's go ahead and get a quick weight on this and see how much this little guy weighs. All right, so we're in ounces, so good. Let's see. So it's a 2.86 ounces. So 2.86 ounces, that's not bad at all. That's a pretty lightweight knife. Let's go ahead and do a little measurement here on the length. So 2.86 ounces, and we're looking at a blade length of probably 2.75 is from the blade to blade. Yeah, about 2.75, and then right from the tip all the way to the handle, we're at around, I'm gonna say, let's see, yeah, just a little over 2.75. It's going to be probably around 2.8, 2.85 inches, just almost at I want to say 7/8. 2 7/8. So it's pretty close to the ratio, so that's nice. Overall length of the knife altogether is going to be about 6.5 inches. The length of the handle, the whole handle, is going to be about all the way from the tip of the handle to the back. It's going to be about 3 3/4, where you can actually get your full grip on there. It's going to be about a little over 3 1/4 inches. So I can get a full grip. I mean, it is a little tight. It's getting close to the edge, but this right here gets you in here. You can choke up a little bit here. It's nice and flat here. There's some jimping here. I'm not a big fan. I mean, it is flat right here, so you could do the choking up here if you had to get into a really hard push cut, but it's comfortable here like this. So I like I said, I have medium large hands, so the medium widthwise, large lengthwise. So longer fingers would probably be a little more wrapped around. But I got a good grip, good solid grip. The handle, the deep pocket carry clip is really nice and contoured, so it doesn't really dig into my hand, and it fits really nicely in here. It just fits, I don't know if you can see that, it just perfectly fit into there. So I get a really comfortable grip. Not very uncomfortable or any hot spots. I like that. So that's cool. All right, let's take a look here. Oh, by the way, this is a flat grind. I think I already talked about that. Beautiful, with a nice swedge up here. Just really, really nice. And man, super sharp. I love the point. Very utilitarian kind of a tip for, like especially when I'm cutting boxes or I'm cutting cases of water and stuff, which I love to do with a knife like this because it's like going through butter, right? So let's see how thick this blade stock is here. All right, so we've had a little problem with my caliper here lately. It wasn't zeroing like I wanted. Oh, here we go. All right, so let's go ahead and see what we're at. So we're at about 0.138, 0.14 inches. So 140 hundredth of an inch, or I guess it's 140 hundredth of an inch. So 0.14 inches. Not a bad blade stock, still pretty thick for such a small knife. It gives you a good solid knife. Solid blade's going to have good stock, but it is nice thinly ground all the way out to a very thin edge. And boy, the edge comes down. It's very nice thin edge. I can feel it all the way to the very tip. So it's It's not a super thin all the way edge, so you will have a little resistance as it spreads out, obviously. But the swedge up here will help with that if you're cutting through something. So that's nice. Um, the flipper has some jimping on there, and obviously the front flipper has some jimping, so that makes it very comfortable. So you can do the push button here, works really well, or the light switch works really well. I like just that little placement right here. He's got that just perfectly shaped right there where you can just put it in there and flip right through, and that works really nicely. So it's kind of a safe place to do it. Just don't do what I just did. Have your finger right there, and that's what slowed down my flipping. I had my finger right here when I was doing that. So that's what I do sometimes right there. So the finger gets on there. So just hold on to your clip, and it works really nicely. The benefit to me about a really nice small knife like this, it's very useful. It's fidgety. It's fun to have. It's strong. It's solid. It's very executive, business-like looking. It's great to carry. It's like a church knife. And yet it's small, so it's not scary or freakish to people who are afraid of knives, which is really a thing out there, believe it or not. So sometimes don't go out and carry your 5-6 inch blade in places where people kind of freak out, right? But this is really fun. It's a great fidgety knife. The action is sweet. The sound is sweet. I mean, it drops beautifully. I love that. And you can even use the little, I've been able to, if I can get it just right, sorry, I just have to. You can front flip it through that. I can even reverse flip it all the way up in the top here as well. So up here or down low with the finger. So either way, it's really nice. Some other things. I have really not had any issues. I do tune my detents a little bit. So for some of you guys who like stronger detents, you may think, man, that detent looks like it might be just a little soft. Well, it was pretty firm when I first got it, and I do like to take them apart and tune that out so that it allows for the front flipping to be a little easier. I've heard a lot of other people talk about when they were front flipping, it felt like it was a little tight, and I'm sure it would have broken in after a while, but I like to tune that right away because front flipping should be an enjoyable thing and an easy thing to do, and usually you want a lighter detent, especially if you're going to front flip a knife like this. And when it's smaller, you don't want to add extra pressure from the detent here if you have accidentally touching the frame lock bar here. So that's always, to me, I found that beneficial. So I do a lot of videos on how to tune your detent if you're interested in doing that. I don't think it's difficult. I don't think it's challenging. I think you just have to be willing to be patient and slow, and you do that, you'll have no issues whatsoever. I really think it'd be something worthwhile. And if you find some knives are too soft, you can easily tighten up your detent, right? So that's something else you could possibly do. Definitely worth your time. Just some tricks and some things I've learned over the years as I do that. Feel free to check out those videos if you get a chance. But anyways, that's the Dan Carraher, Carraher, C-A-R-R-A-H-E-R, DTF. Great little knife. He has a bunch of other, I think it's called the Jacks, and he still has some 904s as well. The 904 is an integral. The Jacks is a carbon fiber one. It's flipper only. It doesn't have front flipper. Again, I got my finger in the way. It doesn't have a front flipper, and it doesn't have a fuller easy access. It's pretty. The blade's pretty tucked in within the handles. It's another knife to check out if you get a chance. Wasn't my thing. I like multi-deployment kind of knives, so this one really appealed to me with all the 3 ways that I know I could deploy this knife. So, and I wasn't disappointed. I was very happy about this. So if you get a chance, check this out. Like I said, I'll post the links for Dan Carraher's knife down below, and I'll do some close-ups. So some of you guys probably want to see a little close-up. And here is the back part of the knife, back spacer with the flipper. And here's the front flipper. And you can see in here. And here's the wonderful deep carry clip with the hidden screw. Right, 1, 2 screws here, and a screw obviously for the steel insert and over travel stop, but no screws on this side, which is really a nice aesthetic. So we flip it out. Here is the blade. I guess you could call this sort of a clip point kind of blade. I don't know what you want to call this. I'm sure I'm going to be wrong no matter what I call it, but I like the blade shape. I think it's cool. It's not necessarily a full Bowie. I had a Bowie that I wasn't a big fan of. This is not as thin and not as hooked as a Bowie. I think it's more like a drop point, I guess, to me at least. It does have a little bit of a recurve, you can see right there. Not much, so it's not going to be too challenging to sharpen. I'm very easily able to, hone the edge on a leather strop, no problems whatsoever. But so there's that with the fuller. You can take a nice close look up on that and the edge. We'll do the back. There you go, with it open. You can see the frame lock and the lock up there. It's very nice. Very solid. Great little knife. Really enjoy it. I don't know if you can hear the sound. Let me go up to the camera. Just makes a nice sound. Doesn't have a ching, but it's very fulfilling. Kind of a, I don't know. It's like a full sound. It's more of a richer sound, I guess. To me, that's what it feels like. Like a richer deployment. You know, some have a very chingy kind of high pitch kind of, or if you will, a high frequency kind of cling to it. This has more of a fuller, richer kind of deployment. And you can see it does have the stop bar is in here, and that's what's going to cause it when it goes back. It's going to be stopped right there in that stop bar and the inside here. And then when it comes out, you can see that, and it stops out here like this and locks up on the frame. So very, very nice little knife. Highly, highly recommend it. I think it's really wonderful. It is a little more expensive, so if you're looking for an inexpensive knife, this may not be for you. But if you're okay spending a little bit more money, it's definitely, I feel, worth it. I think the value you get out of this is great. So, you know, if you found this interesting and helpful, would you mind consider commenting down below, letting me know if there's other questions, other things I can maybe cover or talk about that would be helpful in the review. And if you like this and you found it interesting, entertaining, of value, or just something fun to watch, would you consider subscribing and maybe hitting the like button below? I sure would appreciate it. And if you like this content and my YouTube channel, maybe consider checking me out over on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. That's robs_nerdy_knives. I sure would appreciate it. Hey, thanks so much for watching, and have a great day and a great week. Bye.